In recent news, we've been hearing a lot about African American movements toward equality, like the Black Lives Matter movement. This raises the question of whether or not the African American civil rights movement in the 1950s and 60s was truly successful.
One of the major goals of the civil rights movement was to integrate and eliminate segregation in schools, bathrooms, and public areas. This was definitely achieved and is still non-existent today.
It is clear that conditions have improved for African Americans since then. However, today they are still being discriminated against. It is no secret that more African American men and women have been killed or injured due to police brutality and other forms of discrimination. This chart shows that in 2015, twice as many African Americans were killed by police than white people.
In the 50s and 60s, the police would use unnecessary force during African American protests, such as using hoses, clubs, and attack dogs on the innocent protesters. This translates over to today with the unneeded violence used on innocent African Americans.
The protests that African Americans were involved in were peaceful so that they did not create a reason for violence. This tactic is also used today with recent marches being done. Inspiration was drawn from the Montgomery bus boycotts, which led to the desegregation of buses through civil disobedience.
Obviously, it is understood that the segregation of races is over, but they still do not have equal opportunities to get into college or receive a high-paying job. As seen in the graph, the higher education a person receives, the better they are paid. However, at each level of education, black people have the lowest income, and whites have the highest income.
Equality for African Americans improved greatly during the 1950s and 60s, but has not been fully achieved. Blacks are still discriminated against in schools and the workplace, making it difficult for them to be completely integrated with whites. They will continue to fight for equality with the inspiration of their ancestors behind them.